Hey friend, Graham here from recordingrevolution.com. Let's talk about sample rate. I get this question a lot. Graham, what's the right sample rate that I should be recording and mixing at? If I record or mix at higher sample rates, will my music sound better? Is there an ideal sample rate? Well, I'm going to answer all of those questions in this video. But if you're brand new to recording or mixing, you're like, what is sample rate? Real quick, super easy. Sample rate is like the music or audio equivalent of frame rate in the video world. So if you think about a video camera, it's creating motion by just taking a lot of single snapshots or pictures every second, right? So if you ever heard of 30 frames per second, that is a frame rate of how many pictures are taken in a second, 30 to create motion, right? Whereas if you have a 60 frames per second frame rate, that's twice as many pictures taken in the same 1 second. So you have more data points. So in theory, you have a smoother looking picture. So frame rate for video is the same as sample rate for audio. It's how many samples of the audio are captured per second. Typical sample rates in our digital audio workstations are 44.1, 48, 88.2, 96, 192, right? Depending on your audio interface and your software's capability, you'll see one or all of those options when you record or mix. And it's just like a camera or a piece of, editing software for video asking you what frame rate do you want this movie to be in or this film or this commercial to be in. It's the same with your audio software. What sample rate do you want this song to be in? Now, let's talk about standards right now in the audio industry, and then let's talk about quality and let's talk about workflow and make it real simple for you. Okay. Right now, if you are done with a song and you're ready to release it to the world as an MP3, high quality MP3, right? Something that's streamable, it's going to be a 44.1 kilohertz MP3. That's the sample rate as of right now that we distribute music in, 44.1 for music consumption. Now, if you're doing music for video or music for film, typically that standard is 48K, okay? A little bit higher sample rate for video. So if you're a video person and you're doing music for video, 48 is where you're going to want to, distribute it as. But if you're just doing music for music playback, 44.1 is our standard. So whether it's a WAV file on a CD or an MP3, 44.1 is the standard. Now, moving forward, we might start streaming 96K files, okay? Right now, Mastered for iTunes is a whole deal where you can actually give iTunes or give Apple a 24-bit 96 kilohertz sample rate version of your final master or mix or whatever, and they'll archive it for you in case of the future. We all decide to change our minds and we have the bandwidth with internet to stream 96K files. They'll have that super high quality version on file. But even if you distribute that to them, Apple's going to render it down to 44.1. Now, they say that their algorithm is one of the best, if not the best. In theory, it should sound good, but it's still got to come down to 44.1 right now to be streamed on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever. So the question is, Graham, is there any benefit to recording and mixing at a higher sample rate? 48K, 88.2, 96K, 192? Okay, well, the answer is it depends. And it depends on who you ask. If you record or mix at, let's say, 88.2, which not very many people do, ironically, that would be double the amount of samples per second as 44.1. So it's twice as much information that your audio interface is capturing. And so in theory, it's twice as more real because audio waves in the analog domain are smooth, right? It's an electrical wave. It's nice and smooth. In digital, when it gets converted to digital, there is no smoothness. It's ones and zeros, so it's just steps. So your samples are going to be a step, 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 step. Higher sample rates are more smaller steps. So in theory, you can get a smoother sounding curve that should sound more realistic. So yes, higher sample rates are higher quality. bar none. It's just math. It's just science, right? There's more data, it's more quality. Couple of problems though. Higher sample rates require more hard drive space. Okay. Maybe it's not that big of a deal to you, but it just is something to consider. The bigger deal, higher sample rates require more CPU power. To play back a higher sample rate piece of audio requires way more power. To process a higher sample rate piece of audio through a plugin requires more CPU power. So if you're recording and mixing at 44.1 and you feel like your computer is handling it okay, if you were to record and mix at 96K, which a lot of big studios do, your computer might choke. Same computer, same audio tracks, same plugins, less power. Now, that might be a big problem to you because buying a new computer might not be an option right now. Or even if it is, you want to have the max amount of power possible on your computer. Well, recording and mixing at 96K is not going to give you the max amount of power. Recording and mixing at 44.1 is. So if audio sounds better, let's say at 96K, because there's more data points, it's more analog sounding or more real sounding. Some people say that plugins process better at higher sample rates, and so that even the processing of your EQ or your compression or your reverb will sound better at higher sample rates. Let's say that's even true. The problem is no one's hearing your music at 96K. Again, unless they change the format in the future where we can stream 96K files, no one's going to hear it other than you in your studio at that level. So it's going to have to be dumbed back down and all those samples and all those bits reduced down to 44.1 kilohertz per second anyway. So you're going to lose all of that quality when it comes down to actually sending the master file out to be streamed. So it begs the question, in my opinion, why even do it in the first place? Now, some people swear they can hear a massive difference when they're mixing it 96K, let's say, and that even when they render it back down or they convert it back down to 44.1, they feel they still gain something that they wouldn't have had if they mixed at 44.1. If that's you and you can hear that difference and you swear it makes a difference, do it. Now, it might just be the placebo effect. You just got to be honest with yourself. But that's true of all of us in this space. There's plenty of plugins that we swear sound better, but honestly, we just like the GUI of it. We like the way it looks. And when you press the button, you feel like it got better because there's that placebo effect. So it could just be the placebo effect, but even if it is, if you feel good about it, do it. But a lot of us, myself included, don't really feel like you can hear a difference after it's dumbed back down. I think it might sound better at 96K, but when it's back down to 44.1, it's the same file in my opinion. So I prefer to just record and mix at 44.1. That's the format that it's got to go at. That's the format that it's got to go out as. That's the format that I record and mix at. To me, I'm not willing to have to double the amount of power my computer needs to do the same mix for no real benefit. And final thought here, even if you totally disagree with me and you're like, Graham, you're an idiot. Recording and mixing at 44.1 is stupid. I swear I can hear a benefit at recording and mixing at 96K, even if I have to convert it back down to 44.1. Okay, do whatever you want. But listen to me, if you are a newer mixer and you're stuck in audio land looking up videos like this or reading blog posts or reading on forums about which sample rate's the best and why don't my mixes sound good, maybe I should be recording and mixing at 96K or 192, God forbid, and then it'll sound good, you're missing the point. The sample rate that you record and mix at is not that big of a difference. It is not a big win. If your mixes suck, it's because you suck as a mixer. And I don't mean to be mean. I'm talking to myself too. If our mixes don't sound good, it's our own fault. Okay? It's not the sample rate's fault. It's not your DAW's fault. It's not the plugin's fault. It's us as the engineers. We are the person behind the paintbrush. We're the painter. No good painter blames her paintbrush on her bad looking painting. No painter says, if I had a finer paintbrush that could do finer paintbrush strokes, then I'd be able to create a masterpiece. That's lunacy. The paintbrush at that point, if you're not a good painter, isn't the big deal. And even if you are a good painter, it's not going to be that big of a difference. Although really good painters should be able to notice a difference between paintbrushes and know when to use different paintbrushes. And so that's totally cool. If you are making killer mixes already at 44.1 and you want to start experimenting with 96K to see if it gives you something extra, by all means. But listen, I deal with so many mix engineers and home studio owners every single week, and 90% of them aren't really good at mixing yet. That's why their mixes don't sound good. It's not sample rate, okay? So if that's you, be honest with yourself. The sample rate's not gonna make you a great mixer. Getting good at mixing is gonna make you a great mixer. How do you get good at mixing? A lot of repetition. It's like anything else. A lot of repetition and focusing on the big wins. The big wins are level, balance, EQ, compression, and then before the mix, writing a better song, recording that song better, getting more talented as an artist or a musician yourself if you are the performer, and probably creating a better arrangement while you're at it. Those things really make a better mix when you get down to it. And then, of course, learning how to mix. Sample rate is at the bottom of the barrel. So there you have it. I record a mix at 44.1. Let me ask you a question. What sample rate do you like to record and mix at? Leave a comment below the video. I'd love to hear where you're at with that. And also, if that whole idea of how do I get better at mixing, I got to go back to the song and the writing and the arrangement and the recording, if that resonates with you, then you're really going to like my 6 steps to a radio ready song guide, because hint, mixing is only one of those 6 steps. I just listed a bunch of other ones, and you need to get all of those areas sounding amazing before you can even churn out a radio worthy mix. So what I've done is put together a whole guide for you that walks you through this 6-step process that I'm talking every song that's on the radio or you're listening to on Spotify has gone through. Every professional song goes through these 6 steps. And if you're not doing all 6 steps, you don't have a fighting chance of sounding good. So download the guide. You can get it at radioreadyguide.com. Put the link right here in the video. It's also below in the description box, radioreadyguide.com. It's a quick, easy read. Download it, read it, and then when you're ready to make a new song from scratch, go through all 6 steps. Don't just jump to recording. When you're done recording, don't just jump to mixing. Those are only 2 of the 6 steps. And most musicians that I see in the home studio are skipping on average 3 to 4 of those 6 steps. Some skip 5, but most of us are skipping 3. This is a helpful resource. Use it as a reference every time you're making music. It'll help you focus on the big wins, because what you and I want are songs that sound radio worthy, like they could be played on the radio and hang with the best of the best. And this process will help you get there. Again, it's all free at radioreadyguide.com. Download it, enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And thanks for being a part of the recording revolution. I'll see you in another video real soon.